first party intent, when people are coming to your website and so we use a site that reverse IP lookup on our website.
Yeah.
And they're on our pricing page, but they don't convert, or they're on our watch a video page, and then you've got some absolute, cast iron data and proof that they've been on. You know what they've searched to get onto your website. You've got a lot more insight. You've got a lot more data to have a go at.
Yes.
Okay? A lot of the third-party intent data is people that have already bought, that are just looking at how to implement, or they're maybe even looking for a job, or there's so many false positives, there's so many ghosts in that data that it's highly frustrating.
If I'm going to play devil's advocate a little on this, was it always thus though in our industry? And as we've been able to, we've had the technology to measure more and more and more, and as a result, marketing functions have been pressured to deliver on more and more metrics simply because we can now measure them. It does seem that the bedrock of certainly B2B marketing has been for the longest time predicated on the tools that are available to us, and therefore it allows us to justify our existence to the wider organisation without having to go and have the good old, oh no, we spent half the budget on brand, but we can't measure how successful it was.
Right.
We'll come on to brand, by the way.
Well, you're right. This all comes back to the short-termism.
Right.
Okay. I genuinely believe that the short-term mentality that most businesses have is the biggest blight on business in general.
Yeah.
Right. I really do believe it, because marketing is under so much pressure to generate results on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. They're desperate for these get rich quick schemes.
Yeah.
They will gravitate to anything that promises even a glimmer of hope, because we've got thousands and thousands of marketeers that are in their office or working from home, and all they get day in, day out is finger pointing. Where's my pipeline? You're not doing enough leads. Marketing needs a revolution. You're not good enough. And they feel like beating dogs.
Yes.
Right? And so, and back to the leadership thing, right, as well. Nobody's putting an arm out and going, this is what we need to do. Okay, they're getting finger pointing from their own boss, because the CMO is getting a kicking from the CEO and the CRO. Everybody is on them.
Yes.
Where's our leads? Where's our pipeline? We need it now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so they're like deers in headlights.
Yeah.
And it's like, shit, what am I going to do? And so if somebody comes out like a shining knight on their white steed over the hill, going, I can show you a bunch of companies that are searching for your stuff. All you've got to do is buy my data, send them your message, and they will turn into leads.
Yeah.
And so it's preying on the vulnerable almost. I mean, that's not right, but you know what I mean. It's but it comes down to the strategy of the company, the short-termism, and just the unrelenting pressure on leads, pipeline, and results, and it's all intermingled. So
that then begs the question: the stuff that makes marketing fun, and we kind of mentioned it briefly earlier. I love the fact you laughed there. Things like brand, for instance, and it's interesting that in your most recent blog you talk about the importance of redressing that balance. But you also mentioned that brand marketing as a concept is in danger of disappearing altogether. Yeah. Do you genuinely believe that that's the inevitable outcome of this short-termism, or is there a light at the end of the tunnel whereby there's this pendulum swing? And we've seen pendulum swings many times in marketing over the years, where actually suddenly the penny drops and they go, actually we've exhausted all of our leads and all of our short-term MQL. We've got no pipeline. Sales are screaming at us. Oh, guess what? Nobody knows who the bloody hell we are. That's part of the problem.
Yes, and I do think there will be. The penny will drop, and that will happen. But I think that may take a long time. In the meantime, we have got to be just a bit cuter and a bit cleverer in how we integrate brand elements into overall programs. Okay, and
Right.
I think it's important. You've got to add aspects of brand and storytelling into your integrated program. So, for example, if you are trying to sell software into, let's say you're trying to sell into the insurance space.
Yeah.
Okay. One way of getting to market is, there may be Insurance Monthly magazine, okay, a big industry magazine or publication or community that the IT guy or the whomever is a part of and gets involved in. Okay, and so it's working with that community or working with that publication and putting together an integrated program that has brand elements, that has storytelling elements, but also has demand gen and pipeline generating elements to it. And it could be editorial, it could be a video interview with your CRO or your chief information, your insurance product expert or whoever. It could be a series of roundtables that you can bring in your VIP prospects and customers that is hosted by the editor, and then you can maybe get more content out of that. But there's loads of different things that you can do, but you've got to build this integrated program, and you've got to have different elements of the mix, so you can sneak a bit of brand in, you can sneak a bit of storytelling in, and it's not all about the lead.
Assuming that you managed to do that, is the first question, in terms of actually then developing the importance of the brand part of that, how do you measure that as far as from an internal perspective? And I want to come on to talk a little about attribution in a moment. But actually, how do you attribute that? So you've got these different elements that you're measuring of which brand is part, or sorry, the campaign that you're running of which brand is part. Is there a quick fix as far from your point of view to say, actually, that brand element was critical to get us to here, to here, to here?
Well,
or is that actually the wrong question to ask? Is it not about that? I'm just thinking about it if I'm a CRO, that's the question I ask. All right. Well, where's the okay, you've spent a quarter of the budget on brand. How did that connect to how do you connect the dots, for instance? Again, I'll just play devil's advocate, but...
So I think, it all depends on the individual situation, okay? I was speaking to a marketeer a couple of weeks ago who had, and I think there's a lot of companies in this situation, by the way, that have seen a significant drop in brand searches, in leads coming in from brand searches on Google, I should say, on leads coming in from paid search, from leads coming in from paid social. Their brand is falling off a cliff,
right,
and it's affecting the inbound flow of leads. So if you've got this situation, and I believe that is probably more common than we would care to admit, exactly, as an industry, then you've got to be able to sit the executives down and say, it comes back to being data-led again, right? We are seeing a decrease in the number of people that are actively searching for us and actively looking for us, okay? That suggests that our brand is taking a bit of a kick in.
Yeah.
So we need to infuse some brand elements to the next program.
Right.
Okay. Now, it's going to be difficult to measure. However, what we would like to see is that brand search move up again, right? And those people coming back to us, and and so there is elements you can measure.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can go and do a brand survey and get people to pitch you against the competitors and things like that. You can do that as well. And I actually believe that that's something that most marketers should do. You should take a snapshot at the beginning of the year, do a proper brand survey. It doesn't have to cost thousands and thousands, but you get a snapshot of what people's perception of your brand is against your key competitors, and recall rates and things like that, and then you can do it the year after, and then you can do it the year after, and you should be able to see brand progression if you need to measure it. But coming back to the point, yeah, if you're in this situation where you can quantify a reduction in brand that's actively affecting pipeline, and this is the brand search reduction is a really good opportunity to do that, by the way.
Yes.
Then you've got much more of a justification of putting brand elements in, even if you can't directly measure them within that campaign. You measure them through the brand searches, and you measure them through different things, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to measure.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, you know, some people have multi-touch attribution, first touch attribution, last touch attribution, whatever. You know, and then for some companies it's harder to measure influence pipeline than others, but it all depends on your internal systems, I guess. But that's one way I would look at it.
Yeah, it's obviously you've got the added double whammy of with the explosive. Sorry to mention the AI thing again, but the agentic AI. I read something recently that the amount of searches going on that don't even touch traditional search engines now is crazy.
Yeah.
I think you've described it as the dark funnel. You alluded to it earlier. That's another part of that bit we just can't see.
And you have to ask the question: where is ChatGPT, Claude, and the others getting their information from?
Yes.
When they actually, when they recommend you on their search.
Yeah.
So if somebody says, "Oh, I'm looking for the best sales intelligence software for manufacturers," and it comes up with the list. If you're not on there, why are you not on there?
Yes.
Or if other companies that you've never heard of are on it, why are they on there?
Yeah.
And then you've got to try and figure it out. And it's only going off what's on the internet,
of course.
Reviews, I guess, and community chats and strings and things like that. And it's all the dark funnel.
Yeah.
It's all the dark funnel. And so it's another string to your bow when you're trying to put into practice and launch programs that are not infinitely measurable to within an inch of their life.
Yeah.
There are different things that we can point to. It's difficult though. I mean, everybody is under so much pressure to, budget return on investments is under so much pressure. Everything is under pressure, and and by default we want to prove that we're good at our job. We want to keep our own job. We want to go to at the end of the quarter. Look how many leads and how much pipeline I've generated. Not, well, we sponsored five podcasts and we've got we're in these communities and there's nothing to show for it yet.
Yep. Yeah.
But that could take 6 months. That could take a year.
Yeah. Do you think that part of it? I want to kind of flip it slightly to looking for how because we've talked a lot about these are the problems we're all facing, of which they are considerable, but actually flip it to looking slightly further ahead, okay, and focus a little bit on what we can do, what we are in control of in terms of fixing it. We talked a little bit. You talked a little bit about that. In your recent blog, you mentioned this. You were talking about the revolution around B2B marketing, and I think you ended the blog with on an upslope, as it were, where you talk about getting organisations to make space for bold marketing, I think is the expression you used, and then create room for culture. So we talk a little bit about those two areas in terms of how do we win? Because right now it doesn't feel like, you said it yourself, it feels like we're being battered over the head constantly over a long period of time.
Yep.
And it's driving people out of the industry. I think you and I had a conversation offline when I last saw you about how difficult it is to recruit good marketers now, because people are just running to the hills with all this stuff. So given the situation we find ourselves in, how do we, in your view, how do we try and start to fix this at an organisational level? Because it's not just about marketing anymore, is it?
No. I do think we need it. Well, I think there is a strong case for a revolution. I think when I talk about culture, it's the culture of the company, but not the internal culture that you have beanbags and you go out on a Friday, down the pub or whatever. That's a different way of culture. What does the company stand for? What is the reason that the company is in business?
Right.
What is it trying to achieve?
Right.
What is its story?
Yeah.
Does it know itself? and then you've got to tell that story, and you've got to bring your customers and your prospects on that journey for you. I have a very bad memory, okay, really bad, and I read gajillions of books, and I forget most of them completely. And it's not it is not because most of the books I read are rubbish, but it's just because of my memory. But Simon Sinek, he wrote the book Start With Why.
Yes.
And in it, he says, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it.
Yes.
And that book is what, 15, probably 20 years old now?
Yeah.
It's been around a while.
Yeah.
But I think that is an inspired kind of like comment, or whatever you call it. It's a statement. It's really important.
Is that what we've lost in the maelstrom of data and metrics and KPIs?
And short-termism.
Yeah.
And just going after the silver bullet of of intent and of MQLs.
Yeah.
And we're seeing it right now, by the way, in AI.
Yeah.
We're chasing that get-rich-quick solution, and we are not building foundations. And we're not asking ourselves the really hard questions that make the rest of it easier. What are we doing this for?
Yeah.
What do we stand for?
Yeah.
Really? What communities do we want to build? And I think we've got to generate content, and I think I said this in the newsletter. We've got to generate content that doesn't target people, that is built for people. We've got to help buyers, not just buy. We're not just going to help buyers buy. We've got to help people be successful in their job. If you are targeting IT managers in insurance companies, you would need to understand intimately what they have to go through on a day-to-day basis. And if you're trying to sell them software, but you know that they have other problems in other parts of their business, help them there as well.
Yes.
It's not all about you.
Yeah.
It's not all about what you can sell them.
Yeah.
You have to position yourself as the champion of IT insurance leaders, right? Yeah. IT leaders in insurance, I should say. And bang that drum for them. Wave the flag for them. Be their kind of guiding star. Build that community. Write the content that is not selling them stuff, but is genuinely helping them do their job better. Be better IT leaders.
Yes.
Right. And if you can do that, and you do it selflessly, and you do it genuinely, and you do it with real passion, and by the way, people can see through it.
Yeah. Well, more than ever.
It's just, if you write a white paper and all it is a very loosely veiled sales pitch, just people will read the first 3 paragraphs and go, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's got to be genuinely valuable.
Yes.
And, whether that is you writing it or you bring in some industry experts, you get your customers to write it or help you deliver it, however. But we've got to start building that community, and that's what I mean by that community. You've got to be the standard bearer for your hero.
Yeah.
Right? If the IT manager in insurance companies is your hero, make that hero the centre of your strategy.
Sure.
Your content strategy, your promotional strategy, and be selfless.
Yeah. It's interesting because when the first 2 questions I ever ask a new client are very, very similar in as far as what problem are you solving and why should people care? If you can answer that, if you've got 2 strong answers to those 2 things, that's a good solid foundation. To your point around understanding what the other side of the fence, rather than it all being about you. It's remarkable to me. I've been having that same conversation for over 15 years. And the larger tech organisations.
You don't listen, do you?
Well, I just think the larger the organisation, the worse they are at it, because they become so
self-obsessed. They're self-obsessed. All companies are self-obsessed, and you can kind of understand it.
Of course.
We live on our own corporate little bubble, and all we think about is us.
Yeah.
Really, but we have got to we've got to be deliberate and take ourselves out of our corporate bubble. We've got to spend time with our customers, spend time with our prospects, genuine time.
Yeah.
Excuse me, and really understand what it is to work a week in their shoes, right? And build a content plan around helping them be better at their job, not just a content plan to sell them your shit.
Yeah.
A content plan to help them be better at their job.
Yes, because by doing that, you will sell more of your shit.
If they will follow you.
Yes.
Because they will follow you because you are genuinely helping them.
Yeah.
They're not following you because they want to buy stuff from you.
Yeah.
When they're ready,
Yeah.
you'll be top of the list.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Extrapolating that approach out, a little bit of futurology now, how do you see the industry going from a marketing perspective over the next, I want to say 3 to 5 years, although actually 1 to 2 years may be more accurate, given the speed of progress, and by the way I say progress in inverted commas, and everything that is currently happening to the market as it currently stands, political situations notwithstanding, world economy notwithstanding, how do you see the end game in the next sort of, in the time the likes of us have left?
So, yeah, interesting. I was actually talking to a friend of mine about this early today, in fact. And we were talking about something that's quite interesting, and I think we're already seeing a little bit of a backlash to AI-generated content.
I agree.
And I look at it from my own point of view, and we were actually talking about AI-generated imagery and things like that, and he got me thinking about that. And there's an argument to say that if people see an AI-generated image, they ignore it now, where it was a novelty about 2 years ago, but now it's like, oh gee, you can't, you know. And I can, from my own point of view, if I see a post that has got loads of these little icons and little kind of emojis and things, rightly or wrongly, I presume, because when you write ChatGPT, puts all those in.
It does, yeah.
I hate them, but I presume that it's just been copied and pasted from ChatGPT. I'm like, at least spend a bit of time making it look human.
Put a swirl in it or something, yeah.
But so I think there will be a little bit of a backlash. I think humanity is underrated, right? And I think those brands that can be human, then those brands that can be brave. I think AI content is produced an awful lot of slop.
Oh, without doubt, without doubt.
We are drowning in a sea of AI created.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I think there could be an argument to say real creativity and real bravery in thinking about things you do. I have dozens and dozens and dozens of ideas about what to do from a content point of view. 99.9 of them get slipped out, but there's a couple of things that I'm really quite keen on doing, and I think would be really cool. But thinking of content in a completely different way. Why wouldn't a B2B brand serialize a piece of fiction and so for example, let's say Sugar CRM, okay?
Yep.
And the hero of our story is the sales leader, okay? That's the person that we would like to tell our story to the most.
Yep.
Okay? So why not write or produce a podcast or serialize a story that is, that has a sales leader at the centre? And it could be a murder mystery. It could be he came into the office 6 o'clock on a Thursday morning on the last day of the quarter, and there's somebody, his secretary's dead in the corner or whatever, and it doesn't matter what it is.
Sure.
It's just an interesting piece of content.
Yes.
And you're thinking about just different ways of producing content and not be, oh, we've got to do a thought leadership piece, so we've got to write a 16-page white paper. Let's think completely out the box, and do something that the B2C guys do all the time. We could do blooper reels on social media. We could do all kinds of different things. By the way, there is a lot of good quality creative content out there for B2B, but 95% of the content that B2B churn out is it's the same old shit.
It is.
It's the same old shit. So I think just thinking completely differently about content, I think that would be something. I think brand could be important. Again, I think that we could see a resurrection to your point about brand, but it would take.
That's a long game.
It would take some brave CEOs, I think.
Yeah. I think part of the other issue is, of course, that you've got CEOs' tenure is shortening. So therefore, if you've got somebody at the helm who knows they're only going to be there 3 years, they're only going to be focused on one thing. Let's be honest, and that's either the share price, or if they're private, the bonus structure.
No, indeed.
So and therefore all of that kind of medium, longer term brand building is less relevant to them.
Yeah.
I think that's obviously a problem as well.
No, indeed.
And something beyond our control, of course. But
Come back to AI. One of the things I'm telling my team at the moment is we've got to move away from just using AI to do an A/B test on an email headline. Okay, that's already a bit passé. The people that will succeed, I think, are the marketeers that use AI to build systems and to build processes that link with each other. And I think that's an interesting aspect of where AI could genuinely help, and it could be automating the flow and allocation and scoring and nurturing of leads all within one AI complete connected process. Okay.
Out of interest, as a CRM company, have you invested in tools for your own systems?
Yeah, we are definitely all invested in that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Yes. If I got a penny for every time I was on a meeting talking about those kind of things, definitely.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
It's the way it's going.
Yes,
it's definitely the way it's going. Yeah. Oh, we could talk for hours about that kind of stuff. But also something that's interesting that we're finding, and I'm sure we're probably late to the party on this, and there's people watching this going, duh, yeah, of course, Scott, we've been doing that for years. We're finding our conversion rates and average order value are much higher when the opportunity has been referred from a customer.
Right.
Or it's somebody that has worked with us before, moved jobs, and wants to bring again.
Right.
Okay. And so I don't think there's enough awareness or enough thought and process put behind, a deliberate, purposeful advocacy program for B2B.
Right.
There's probably people screaming at this now, going, "Well, we've been doing it for 10 years."
Yeah.
And please let me know how you do it.
Well, I happen to know, because we work with a few fintech clients, I happen to know that advocacy programs in the fintech space are quite advanced compared to what I would say core tech is.
Okay.
But it's easier for them because actually, by the very definition of the type of technology that they're selling in, if it works from a regulatory perspective, it's a sure bet. So it's an easy recommendation, advocacy driven thing that they can tap into. But anyway, I digress.
So advocacy is something that we're thinking very heavily about, and also influencers.
Yeah.
And not necessarily YouTube influencers and things like that, not that, but micro influencers it's like, as I was saying, the part of the dark funnel, who are the people that your hero, your prospect hero, trusts and listens to? And it's, you're not trying to get product placement necessarily.
Of course.
But if they've got a podcast, you can sponsor the podcast.
Yes.
If they run their own event, maybe you can get involved in there somehow. But it's like, who are the influencers at a micro industry level, okay, but also, you know, there are consultancies, there are not analysts, that's a different thing, analyst relations is a different thing, but some of the small boutique agent consultancies, or one or two man bands, to the slightly bigger ones, and also those organisations that are referring and advising their clients on tech stacks and things like that, doing much more to be more deliberate and more purposeful in that area. Again, there could be dozens and dozens of people going, what we've been doing that for years, got to get into the programs.
But you don't hear about
that's fine.
That's the point. Is that may be the case, but they're not shouting very loudly. At least I'm not seeing it. So.
No. And it's about extending that mix and having different ways to market, right?
Yeah.
Also, talking of going to market, actually, and I can only talk about us, and so this is going to be a very sugar-centric example, to which I apologise, but and actually it goes to attribution. So attribution, when we're talking about internally, marketing sourced pipeline, BDR source pipeline, sales source pipeline, channel source pipeline if you have a channel, that is a massive distraction. Okay, because you end up with silos, you end up with teams not working together because everyone's getting measured on their own bit and they're not helping each other and they're fighting over that lead. Oh, well, hang on, that person came to an event in 2022, surely that's a marketing. No, but we haven't spoken to them for 3.5 years and I've just picked up the phone. No, but we're doing first touch. You get all these kind of arguments that actually the customer doesn't care.
Yes.
And it's taking energy and effort and focus away from what really matters, which is providing a service to your customers and telling your story in the right places to your prospects effectively. It's a massive, massive distraction. And so having a unified go-to-market approach where you work much more tightly as a team, and it's one of those, so I've been working on a new kind of approach to field marketing internally. And one of those things is really being much more deliberate in working with the BDR and the sales team to enable and help their outbound prospecting. Okay, so for us, the sales and the BDRs, they have an outbound prospecting target. They are expected to contribute a certain amount to the pipeline, rightly or wrongly. But that's how we've done it. And as I say, I believe it should just be one regional pipeline number because it's a distraction. But anyway, enabling them and making sure that marketing sits down and helps them prioritize their lists, make sure that they've got content and not scripts but pointers, customer case studies, competitive battle cards, decks, everything that they need to prospect with confidence. And it's not that the field marketing team do it all, but they are the conductor and they bring it all in from product marketing or from central marketing, from the content team, from the AR, PR guy, whatever. But they package it up and work with the sales team to understand what they need, what industries they're going after, what messages do they want to say, make sure that those messages are the right messages, and give them all the tools and stuff. And I think working as a more unified go-to-market team can only be a benefit. And I hope that we are better at that in the future, and that's where I would like Sugar to be more in the future, more of a unified team. And so I'm pitching that as a future process for everybody.
Right. It makes perfect sense. And actually what I'm hearing, to bring it sort of back full circle, is that the revelation of this conversation to me has been that the revolution that you talk about is actually, when it comes down to it, about human relationships, whether it's internal unification of different departments working towards one goal, or the external relationship that marketing has with its audience. and bringing this metrics, KPI obsessed world that we live, data world that we live in now, back to its basics, which is why we got into marketing in the first place, is that the psychology, the background to why one person would buy a certain thing from an organisation is interesting.
Mm.
That's what at its heart what marketing is about, right? So, and I think you allude to it actually in your blog, is that it's about people. It's about how to manipulate, if that's the right word, I'm not too cynical, that relationship between an organisation and its potential audience, and ultimately it comes down to a human relationship. Right?
Yep, trust.
Yeah, trust.
Building trust.
Actually, I think that's the first time we mentioned trust in the entire...
Building rapport. Well, that's what brand is. Brand is a promise,
That's
right?
good.
Brand is a promise. And so there is an underlying trust element to building that brand.
Yeah.
And it comes back to what I talked about. You know, you build content for them, not targeted at them, and that will build trust as well, and that will just bring them along. And I think we're too busy shouting. You look on LinkedIn, everybody's shouting,
Yeah,
everybody's talking, everybody's trying to sell, nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And very few people are receptive.
Mm.
And it's the same. We are projecting and we are shouting and we are talking at our prospects. We need to be more conversational.
Yeah.
We need to be braver, and so thought lead. The whole concept of thought leadership is something that I question as well. Just because we wrap everything up as thought leadership, and actually all it is a bloody thinly veiled sales pitch. But if we actually pivoted and invited our prospects, into having a conversation about what's going on in their industry, and we say we don't have all the answers, but let's bring in a couple of our maybe not competitors per se, but companies that are adjacent, and we're doing that here in Sugar, by the way. We're bringing in companies that also talk to the sales team, to the sales leaders, and we have a conversation, a much more rounded conversation, a much more high-level conversation about the industry, about the profession.
Yeah.
And it's not about technology and buy some stuff. It's really, we want to help you, we want to listen to you, and having conversations and saying we don't have all the answers, but let's try and figure it out together.
Yes.
We're a partner with you. Let's figure it out together.
Yeah.
And be part of that industry conversation rather than just projecting.
The future hopefully looks bright.
Viva la revolution.
Viva la revolution. Yes, I think that's a great point to finish. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
I would say for the viewers, do check out Scott's Bang Average blog. It's very funny, very poignant, and usually absolutely on point. So,
thank you.
So do check that out. And for those of you, Substack, that's right. That's very true. Substack, and I should also mention, just as a finish off, if anyone is into military history, if you go to wordsofwarfare.com, this gentleman has written quite a few books. I've found out, and recently, was it Layman's Guide to the SS?
There is a new book on the SS just out. Yes.
There you go, free plug for you.
Thank you,
Scott. Thank you very much for your time.
No, absolute pleasure. Loved it. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much.
Right.
Cheers.